You can start now.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Charles is here. So this week is going to be a really cool week. So we're going to learn all about databases this week. So here are the slides for today. And I get really excited talking about databases. So I asked Qua for permission to teach today's section because it's a cool topic to talk about. So hopefully that's okay. Oh, sorry. Before we get started in databases, I was too eager. I just want to do a quick recap of the previous week. We actually won't talk about Node.js really kind of at all today. It's going to be all in databases. So I want to make sure you don't forget about everything you learned. So let me just pick on some people from class. Kai, what is Node.js? Kai. So we do this to make sure that you guys are there and paying attention. Okay. So let the recording show that Kai was away from his computer. I think Bao is for sure there. Bao, can you define what is Node.js for me? Are people not hearing me? Is something wrong with the audio?
Bao.
Oh man, I trusted you, Bao. I thought you would be there for
Yes,
sure.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can you just say, hey, what is Node.js? What is it useful for?
So Node.js is, I think is I just don't know what it would tell, but I'm not pretty sure I'm right. But Node.js is like backend design based on JavaScript language to write on website or a program.
Yeah, that's exactly the right answer. Node.js is just a way to write whole programs in JavaScript. I think the official definition that Qua used was it's a portable runtime environment for JavaScript. And we need it because before Node.js, you could only run JavaScript in a web browser. So you could only run it inside Chrome or inside Firefox or Internet Explorer. And once Node.js was made, we could run it anywhere. So then you can run servers, you can run, there's refrigerators that run Node.js. You can do everything in Node.js. Thank you, Bao. And I'm nervous about asking this person, but hey, Sting, what's Express? You can also type it if you're shy, so I can read or I can listen. I just want to get some interaction amongst the class. So can we talk, Sting, can you tell me what is Express and why we're teaching it or why we're using it? Sang. Also, my Vietnamese name is also Sang, so I feel closer to you. Oh, my screenshot sharing. Sorry, thank you.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna give up and you're saying in 10 seconds.
Say
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Koi, can you tell me what is Express and what it's useful for?
Yeah. So Express is a JavaScript framework that provides you with a lot of tools and utilities to make your web application.
Exactly. Thanks. You're qualified to teach the Express lecture now. That's exactly what it is. It's just a bunch of tools to help you build a web server on top of Node.js. Fun fact, actually, you don't need Express because Node.js has stuff built in. We use things like FS and OS, I think, last time. And there's also an HTTP module built into Node.js, but it would be kind of a lot of work to make all of Express yourself. Good answer. Now let's go to, who's going to be? Nyan. Explain to me MVC and what each of those letters stand for, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
MVC is something. M is a model, V is a view, and C is a controller. View is what the user see. Controller is what we use to put in a lot of control command. And model is something like something like, I think, database.
Perfect answer, man. This
Yes,
is also, that's good. Thank you. Thank you very much, man. That's a good, I mean, this is a pretty standard, like maybe very easy interview question. You answered it well. So MVC, model view controller, is a software design pattern. Bitna had more to add, actually. Bitna, why do we have software patterns? What are they for?
So when you guys are making the program, now our program is pretty small, but when it goes bigger, and it's that all your source code gonna be very messed up. So people think there's some way to organize our source code, and then that's why they start to make the pattern. That's the software pattern, and there are a lot of patterns. So you guys are interested, you guys can search about it.
Yeah, software design patterns also really, there's a bunch of them. MVC is the most popular, so that's the one that you should know for sure, because 90% of applications follow this today, I would say, close to 90%. Great, so question number 4 is for me. So what's the part we mostly avoided? So just like actually Nyan insinuated, he knows what the views do, he knows what the controllers do, and we're still a little bit shaky on what the M stands for model. So that's what we're talking about today. So today we'll talk about models, which to me are the sexiest part of any application. And that's a joke, but really actually you spend most of your time on the models. So the data to your application is generally the most important part. So to learn today, because today is going to be more about databases and it's not going to be about building apps just yet. So we actually won't do any Express or Node.js today. We'll get back to it tomorrow. But today we're just going to spend time on a few exercises, a small quiz, and a link to the official MongoDB course. So we won't be doing Node stuff today, just because we want to make sure you get a good grasp of the fundamentals. On the right, you can see like an awesome certificate that will help you get today. It's your official course completion confirmation from MongoDB University. So, but before we get started, it's Monday, everyone's a little bit slow. So I'm gonna take advantage of that right now. So let's just have like this is not really related to the lecture, so don't worry, but a little bit. So let's just have a fun game. So who am I gonna ask? I'm gonna ask, maybe I'll ask Hung Wing. Hey, Hung En, I'd like to hire you for a job. And I can pay you in one of 2 ways. I'll just give you $1 million right now, or I'll pay you 1 cent today, but I'll double that every day for a month. So that means tomorrow you get 2 cents, then you get 4 cents, then you get 8 cents, then you get 16 cents. And I do that for a month. Yeah. So how would you rather be paid?
I gotta go with the second option.
Why do you say that? It's $1 million versus a penny.
Actually, 2 to the power, like something to the power of 2 gonna be like a lot, like if you do it like consecutively for 30 days. So
correct.
Second option.
Correct. You end up getting, I think it's like $11 million that way. So congratulations. You made a lot of money off of me just
so
now.
I got the money today or tomorrow.
So I was thinking about that a lot because that's what's happening with coronavirus, right? So like I think as computer software people, we actually are really familiar with doubling things, because that's what binary is about. You know, like Moore's law, there's lots of things in computers. Exponential growth is really crazy. And that's what's happening with coronavirus. If you look at this graph, it's kind of like doubling every day. So today, just like when you say, hey, like I only made like 64 cents today, but in a month you could be at $11 million. Like, it's really hard to grasp how quickly exponential growth happens. And as like people, that's why we should be really, really kind of aware of those things. Now, today's class is not about coronavirus, it's about data. So the reason why databases are so important, and why this is a really important field in computer science, and why we spend so much time talking about data, is there's just a ton of data out there. And this is becoming like way, way more true. Data is growing even faster than the spread of the virus. So if you compare us to the 1990s, like the amount of data today, it's just like massively, massively bigger. And it's growing really, really fast. You think about like all the kind of stuff on Facebook collecting, and all the like the quantified self stuff, the amount of data out in the world is just like ridiculous. I forget what the thing is, but it's like we have created more data like in one day than we did in like the first 100 years of human written history or something. Like, it's like the ratio is crazy. So all I want to say is that there's a lot of data out there. So understanding databases and how to deal with it is a really important job. So to understand all this data and to kind of deal with it, people built this type of software called databases. And that's what we'll learn today. And a database is kind of a type of computer program that you'll get to use. And so a database has a few kind of main jobs. The first one is it needs to store lots of data. So if you think about any big application, so think about like Tiki, how many products they have to store, how many orders they have to store. They just have tons and tons, like millions and millions of pieces of data to store. Facebook has billions of data to store, right? So Facebook has 1 billion people using that service. Everyone's doing like 100 things a day. That's like 100 billion things a day, right? So the database needs to be able to store lots of data. That's the main job. 2, you have to make sure that data is safe. And when I say safe, I mean 2 different things. One, it has to be secure. So like people can't hack into it and find out everything about, about the data, but also that it's durable, in that the data, once you write it somewhere, it's not going to like get corrupted, or it's not going to, like, you're not going to lose data that you write. So you imagine if you're, again, to use the Tiki example, if someone gives you their credit card information so they can buy something, you want to make sure not everyone can read it. You also want to make sure you don't forget their credit card information or forget what kind of orders they've made. 3, you have to access it quickly. So that usually in most applications, the database is often the bottleneck. So we've done all the calculations, and you should kind of know, like from your time doing the sorting algorithms on Friday, like you can sort a list, and some algorithms are way faster and some way slower. But actually it's like not that big of a difference from like 1 million until you get to like a lot of rows, like, because computers are so fast at doing calculations. So sorting like a list of 100 things could be, 100 times 100 operations, but a computer can still do it in like half a second. But when you come to databases, like that's a lot harder, and you have to have a quick and efficient database. So accessing and filtering and sorting it efficiently are big jobs of the database. And the last is like, we just need to be able to update it correctly. And this is actually a lot harder than it sounds. Again, if we're talking about big databases, say you're on something like Facebook, right? And you like a post. If it's a big post, that could be like 1 million people hitting the like button at exactly the same time. And you need to make sure you don't lose one, that everyone likes the same post. You don't accidentally have that person like liking a different post. What if someone deleted the post right before you liked it? There's a million things that can happen when it comes to concurrent like things happening at the same time. So your database has to be able to figure that out. Maybe another good example is any sort of ticket booking website. Like those things sell out very quickly. So if people are buying tickets for a concert, you can't have 2 people trying to buy the same seat. You can't like sell more tickets than you have. All sorts of things like that. So databases help us navigate all these things. Now, when it comes to databases, there's two main kinds of databases. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with this, but there's two classes, SQL and NoSQL. So SQL or NoSQL. And there's some, NO kind of means not only. So SQL versus not only SQL. And SQL, or SQL for short, is the original way to do databases. So that's kind of the classical way to do databases. And that's what most people learn in school. And that's what most big companies use for a lot of things. Like the biggest database company in the world is a company called Oracle. And they have something called Oracle DB or MySQL. And those are databases used by everyone. But there's kind of a newer trend, which is called this NoSQL. So they're a little bit newer types of databases, and they're popular for a lot of reasons. We're going to be teaching you NoSQL, but I think it's important that you know a little bit about the distinction. So in the notes for today, under resources, if you scroll down at the videos, this MongoDB introduction video is pretty good. I don't want to play it right now. It's only 5 minutes long. I recommend you watch it after the course. But he kind of goes into detail about the differences between SQL and NoSQL. And the way I describe it, I've heard it described best, and what I'll kind of quickly demonstrate to you now is SQL is a lot like Excel, and Mongo is a lot like using Word. So they're two different types of software that they're both useful, but for different things. It's kind of pointless to say like, hey, what do you think is better, Charles? Do you think Excel is better or Microsoft Word is better? It's hard to compare those things. You'll often get that question like, hey, is SQL better or NoSQL better? You can't really compare the two. But for you to understand the difference, I want to just do a very quick introduction to what SQL is like and what problem it solves and how NoSQL solves that problem a little bit differently. So here on my screen, you should be able to see a spreadsheet. So do we have any, like, I forget if any people here were like accountants or finance people. I know Kwa used to be in finance, so Kwa is like an ex-wizard, right? Do you love Excel, Kwa?
Yeah.
No? You love
Yeah,
Excel.
people love Excel.
So I'm not an Excel master. But let's imagine we're building an app. So can someone give me an example of some website? I don't know. Someone give me just some website or app they like to use. Danny, what do you like to use? What's a business that you frequented most recently? Oh, you're on mute.
Any kind of business?
Just any kind of business, yeah.
Oh, there's the food co-op.
The food co-op?
Yeah,
food co-op.
the grocery store here in Vietnam.
Okay, grocery store. Perfect. So, okay, the co-op. All right, so let's imagine we're trying to build a grocery store, and we need to make a database of all the items in our grocery store, right? So I might do this in Excel. So if I was doing this in Excel, I have like the first column is going to be the SKU, or like the barcode. Then I'll think about like a description. Let's see, I'm trying to think in like maybe price per kilogram. So if I'm trying to buy like vegetables, there's a price per kilogram. There might be like an expiration date. It's pretty important. And maybe there's like a total price. So I haven't thought, I'm trying to do this improv. So this is maybe the basic thing. So I would make a database of items like this. So, SKU1 for, let's say like tomatoes. I don't know how much tomatoes cost. I think it's like 35,000 per kilogram. Is that right? I don't know. Expiration date. You probably have tomatoes or a week. I don't know. So from today, let's say today is the 20th, so 27/4. And actually, I'll leave this off for now. So that's tomatoes, but let's say we're also selling, what else do grocery stores sell? Let's like selling milk. Now, like price per kilogram doesn't really make sense because shoot, like milk isn't sold per kilogram. I don't know how to do that. So I might make a new thing here. So for this one, I'll just say like price here. And then I'll say this also expires maybe in a week. I don't know.
and then you'll say price. I actually don't know how much milk costs either. How much is milk? 50,000. That's how much milk costs. But then I might actually have a different SKU. I'm like, oh, milk. This is like, oh, I need a size here now, because milk comes in different sizes. 50,000 is for the, I don't know, 1 liter, but you have a 2 liter of milk, and that's, let's say 90,000. And now I have to have like 2 different things here. And it's a bit confusing. And as you get more and more types of objects, now it's gonna get more difficult. Let's imagine we're trying to sell, like, the grocery store might also sell like cups, or let's say toilet paper. Oh man, now like I don't know how to like model this. It's not per kilogram. There's a price, but there's a million different sizes, and there's a whole bunch of options. So maybe 6 roles, and there's like brands. Anyway, as you can imagine, like we now have to have like, every time we have a new type of thing, it's like number of roles. Now I can do like, 6, 12 here, and then make another SKU. And so as I type more and more types of different products, I'll have to keep making more columns on my spreadsheet. And what happens is like, now like most of them are empty. So you get this really ugly database, and it just gets impossible to find anything. And now imagine, even if you want to do like a different thing, like let's say I want to track what brand something is. So I might have toilet paper from, well, let me think, hold on. Yeah, I guess brand works. So I might have toilet paper from like, I don't know, toilet paper companies, ABC paper. And then I might have like DEF paper. You have different brands, but now like, what if I want to have more information on a brand? So if I have linked data, so I want to hear like, hey, what's this ABC company? Then I'll have to have like, well, where are they headquartered? I don't want to buy toilet paper from China, for example. So maybe like brand country. ABC paper is from Thailand, and DEF paper is from China. But then like, let's say I need to like, now I'm keeping like a whole bunch of different information. Like I originally just wanted to store information about my tomatoes. Now I have like brand country and a lot of things. So what happens here is you'll actually probably make a different sheet. So I'll say like, this first one will be items. Hopefully you can see the bottom right what I'm doing. So I'll have items. And then I'll have like, and so now I would say like a brand has also columns. So now I can put more information here. So I can put like name, country as headers, and I'll have ABC paper is from Thailand, and the paper is from, what did I say? Whatever I said. And so then instead of having this information here, I can now refer to brand as ABC paper, and I can store information about that. And so if the country changes or something happens, then I have information in one place. And this is why SQL is also known as a relational database. So you define data and you keep them in different stacks and you relate them together. But I've kind of hinted at why this is difficult. It's the structure of your database gets a little bit rigid, because now I have to like refer to lots of different tables. I have probably for one checkout, I might have like 1 billion different tables of places I need to grab data from. And that's hard to manage, and it can be slow from a computer standpoint. I mean, this is the kind of predominant way data is stored today. And there are good things about this as well. Now, what we're going to do today is, instead of doing that, we're going to use more of a Microsoft Word approach. So when I say that, we'll have different documents. So each, instead of a row in the spreadsheet, we'll have kind of a document that represents tomatoes. And about tomatoes, I can say like price per kg, 45. And I can put all the information about tomatoes here, whatever. And I can have a different one for toilet paper. And
it's not forced to have the same columns. So it can have whatever it wants. So here I can put toilet paper number rolls, 6, for example, and you don't force, like this is a separate document than the one above. And so this has some advantages. Now my rows are interdependent. When I get one document, I just have most of the information I need about that item all just kind of in one go. On the downside, it's a little bit easier to get disorganized. So I might forget to do a required call on tomatoes and things like that. So it's a little bit easier to get missing data or kind of dirty data. In a nutshell, that's the difference in approach between SQL, which is more like a spreadsheet with set columns, one row, values in the columns, multiple sheets, the documents, which are like kind of self-contained units. Okay, if that wasn't helpful, the video I talked about, this introduction to Mongo in 5 minutes, also goes into detail about that. So now that we've kind of showed you the difference between SQL and NoSQL, I just want to make a pitch for why we're teaching you NoSQL instead of SQL. And the main reason is that it's the easiest to learn. So it integrates more naturally with Node.js and Express because the database that we're about to teach you, MongoDB, fundamentally looks just like JavaScript. So that's what we were building on last week when we built when you built a to-do list application using a JSON file as a database. That's essentially MongoDB is that on steroids. And like I said, you might be wondering, oh, I wish I could learn SQL because it might be more popular, it might not. It is important to know. But actually, like at the end of the day, what's more important about how you organize your data, right? Whether you keep it in document form or spreadsheet form or whatever you do, like knowing what data to keep, how you access it, how you work with it, how you write programs around it, that's the key part. And we'll show you starting tomorrow. You actually don't talk to databases directly from Express. There's a layer in between. It helps you write code more naturally because the dream is that as a developer, you don't really need to care about how your data is being stored. The same way that if I'm a doctor, I walk up to you and I should be focusing on, hey, like what's wrong with you? What's your temperature? Like, how do you feel? And I shouldn't, as a doctor, really care like, hey, what filing cabinet is it going to? Is it in 2 filing cabinets? Is it in 3 filing cabinets? That's not that important. Of course, the doctor sort of needs to know, but hopefully, like if someone changes the way that the patient records are filed, it shouldn't affect the doctor and what the doctor focused on, which is like going to medical school for many years to learn about how the human body works, not about how the data is stored. So I'm going to make a pitch to you that although like the most common question beginners have is like, which one should I learn first? It really doesn't matter that much. And I think that you can learn SQL pretty quickly. So the database we'll focus on for this class is called MongoDB. And there's 4 main pieces you should get. So the first thing, I was going to email you guys this, but you should definitely go download the program right now, by the way. Oh, sorry, we have a question from Jurgis. 44,000. So can you combine NoSQL and SQL databases? Absolutely, you can, actually. So many there's actually more than, actually I say NoSQL as if it was just like one type of database. There's actually like 20 bajillion types of NoSQL databases. So for example, like on Facebook, the Facebook Messenger does not use the same database as Facebook posts. They're totally different types of software. Messenger has totally different requirements, right? Messenger chat messages have to happen right away, it has to be real time, all sorts of different things. And the way you look them up is different. So that'll be very different than how they store the Facebook posts. And that's also different than how they store friendships. So friendships are a special type of data. It's like it's called a graph. It will link 2 edges together or 2 people together. And when Facebook like doing queries like, hey, how many jumps are these 2 people apart? How many friends do you have in common? That's a totally different type of data that they store. So they use a different database for that, for example. So yes, people will use different databases all the time in software. For what we're doing, we'll just use one database for everything. So MongoDB is general enough that for any kind of basic software, you'll be able to implement that using MongoDB.
if you were going to build something really specific, like, oh, I want to build a specific like mapping database or mapping application, or a very specific like real-time chat application, you might use different databases instead. But for general purpose, MongoDB should cover all the use cases that you have. So for MongoDB, you should go install it right now. I have instructions, sorry, not, I have these instructions you want to do on here. Daniel's question is, can we use MongoDB for user and password storage? Absolutely. That's one of the things you're supposed to do. There's more you have to learn about that in order to do it correctly. We'll learn that, I think, on Thursday, Kwa, right? So this week we'll go over that.
Wednesday, I think. Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, Wednesday.
So everyone please install MongoDB at some point today. You'll need it for sure. But there's 4 pieces of software to download. So one is the MongoDB program itself, so the actual database software. That's like a service that runs on your computer, and it just kind of runs in the background. So you want to run that so you can have local instances of the database on your computer. Number 2, there's something called the MongoDB Compass. So that's a GUI for accessing database. So you should be able to see it on my screen. This is a nice little application that helps you visualize a MongoDB database, which I'll show you in a minute. There's also the shell. So because you guys are hardcore programmers, you actually might feel more comfortable now doing stuff in terminal. So, you know, I make an analogy like this is like Git. So there are Git GUIs where you can like see like the files that changed. You can sort of use VS Code. But at some point you're like, I'd rather just do git add, git commit, git push, stuff from the command line. So Mongo offers you that as well. So I'll show you both these things today. And I bet you can guess which one I like working with more. It's definitely the shell. The last thing you'll see referred to a lot is called MongoDB Atlas. And what that is, it's like Heroku for your database. So if you want to run your application on Heroku, right, or in the cloud, you can't have the database living on your local computer for obvious reasons. So Atlas helps you have a database server running in the cloud. And MongoDB like company does that for you and gives you one free one. Yeah, so Atlas has free and paid versions. Everyone's allowed to make one free one. It's called the sandbox version. So you won't have to pay anything or give any sort of credit card information to your test applications. But yes, if you want to have many, you have to start paying for it. But you'll be fine. So yes, so please install all 4 of these things. Sorry, you don't install MongoDB Atlas. Please install the first 3 things: the program, the shell, and the CLI client, command line interface. Okay, but I'm just going to jump into basic concepts of MongoDB, how it works, and I'll show you a few examples today of how we store and retrieve data. So there's 3 main concepts of MongoDB you should be familiar with, and this is how the data is structured. So we have something called the database. That's actually usually one per application. There's a collection and there's documents. So each one is groups of the other. So a database is a group of collections, and a collection is a group of documents, and document is a group of data. So what is a document? So a document is actually just a JSON file. Let me jump ahead a slide. So this is what a sample document looks like. So a document, it looks just like JSON. Under the hood, it's using a slightly different thing. So there's some small differences, but at first glance, you may be able to recognize it very easily. Hooray for JavaScript, right? So JavaScript literacy helps you be fluent at many things. This is a document describing a movie. So this movie is called 5 Easy Pieces. I've never seen it. But it has information about a lot of them. And the most kind of interesting thing, I think, is you'll see that this document can have more complex types. So for example, cast here is actually an array. So just like JSON, you can have arrays inside. You can also have other objects inside. So the runtime is an object that points to another object that has number int and 98 inside. So you'll see some special things like this, like $, and that represents a specific type. So types in Mongo land, there are a couple different types that you should be aware of. So the most common one you saw is int. So that's for numbers. String is for strings. These words should all make sense to you. The ones that don't make sense maybe are object ID. That's a special Mongo only thing. It gives every row in your, or every document in your database a special ID, so you can do like access it. In your like old to-do app, you did this manually. You're like, oh, ID equals 1, ID equals to-dos.length plus 1, something like that. Mongo will do that for you automatically, which is important because if you imagine if you have 100 people using your app at the same time, you could have problems if you try to come up with IDs yourself. And also there's something called bin data. So if you ever want to store binary information, so you could upload images directly, for example, into Mongo. You shouldn't do that, by the way, but it's possible. So looking here, we can look very quickly. We have this OID, stands for object ID. So every document always has an ID field like this. The year is stored as integer, as 1970. We have an array here, and so on and so forth. So I realize this is all like very abstract, but let's just go look at a database. So this is a database connection string. Let me just quickly explain what this is. So this is the address of a database on the internet. So the first thing to the left, just like a website, starts with HTTP. It tells the computer what protocol to use or what about the URL. This one's going to be a MongoDB. The next piece here is the username. So databases have permissions, like not everyone can see everything or edit everything. So this username, this is the password. So this is my account and password. This is the host. So we're actually going to access a database on MongoDB's test servers. So it's cluster0-j-execq. And the last one is a default database that we'll be connecting to. So a MongoDB cluster can have many databases. Each database has many collections. Each collection has many documents. So let me just copy and paste this string here. And I'll show you two different ways to look at this database. So the first is if you on this, you'll get it like this. So this is the graphical user interface. I'll start here because this is a little friendlier. So I just paste that link into this window, paste your connection string. And this is for one. It'll become clear soon. All right, so there, I said this is one cluster, so on the cluster you can have many databases. So these are all the databases that are on this cluster. So there are different data sets. Let's just kind of dig into one. So let's click video.
Holy shit.
So this video database only has one collection, which is movies. That's there. And what's loading. Cool. So this is our data. The UI gives you some nice things here. You can see that there's like 963,000 documents. But the more interesting thing is looking at the actual data here. So hey, like this is a movie called Carmencita. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the cast. You can click on the expand arrow to see more into that array. And one thing you notice here is one of the strengths and weaknesses of MongoDB is you don't have to have the exact same fields in every document. So for example, for some reason, this film has no cast, has no runtime. It's okay. So the documents are all a little bit different. But you can see the collection of data. Another really good thing about the UI that the command line doesn't have is this schema. So let me just show you kind of what it does. Schema, that word just means a structure of a database. So I said there's no enforced structure, kind of, and that's sort of true. But you obviously need to have some sort of like rough structure. So what analyze does is analyze and documents tell you what it best thinks about all the data. So you can say, oh, cast is an array most of the time. Sometimes it's a string, sometimes undefined. Director is always a string. So MPA rating, mostly undefined. I don't know why. The plot, half the movies have a plot, half them don't. So this is pretty common for MongoDB database. We'll often have kind of missing gaps. But yay, like all of our years are set correctly to integers, for example. And the oldest movie we have is in 1897. The newest movie we have is 2017. So like this tab is a little bit useful. But that's basically kind of the main part of this UI that's useful. Like I said, my favorite thing is to use the shell. So let me fire up my shell here. Sorry, I'm in an old window here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type Mongo. So Mongo is the shell client, and I'm going to paste my string in here. And I'll show you how that works. You get a lot of debug statements, and then at some point I'll get this thing. So here I can use command line arguments to do basically the exact same thing I was doing in Compass, but I kind of, you know, it's nicer this way. So the first command I'll run is show DBs, and that tells me all the databases. So this is the same screen that we saw. It's the same databases or the same data. One thing you'll do differently is you'll say use in the name of the database. So I'm going to look at video, for example. So I'll say use video. It confirms by saying I switched to DB video. And now I'm going to try to do show collections. Show me all the different collections. I only have one. So the way I access documents in here is called db.movies. And I do commands on this object. So this is all going to look just like JavaScript. For example, db.movies.find. Find with blank arguments finds all the documents in db.movies. It only prints a few of them. But from here, if you look at this, this is basically the same data that we were seeing in Compass. It's sorted a little differently. That's okay. So I don't know. Does anyone have a movie that they like? Let's try to find information about someone's movie. Kai, are you back yet? What movie do you like? Killing me, Kai. Okay, we'll go with Daniel's. Okay, so here I'll do db.find. And the way that you do a find is you pass an object. Remember, this is just like JavaScript, and this will seem very awkward at first, but you'll get the hang of it. So I'm going to give a condition, and that condition is going to be that the title is into the wild. So it's going to find all documents. Sorry, I did db.movies. I'm going to find all documents that have a title set to into the wild. Great, I'm glad that works. There is a movie called Into the Wild in 2007. It's about this guy who, I think he like dies in the wild, right, Daniel? He just moves, he like moves into the forest and like gets eaten by bears or something. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's a good thing. I've heard it's good. I've heard the book is better. The movie I had selected for this was a movie I like. I don't know if anyone's seen this movie. Someone stop me if they've seen this movie. There's actually multiple movies with the same title. So one thing you can do is you can actually do .count at the end. So there's actually 6 movies called Sucker Punch. The one I want though is the one that's made in, what year was it made? Yes, it's this one, the one by Zack Snyder. So it's one that's directed by Zack Snyder. So I'm going to do, you can have multiple commands here. Remember, this is just an object, just like JSON, so I can have a comma and then more kind of key value. So I'm also going to search for the one that's made by, or directed by Zack Snyder.
Charles, you can use .wiki to make it like readable.
Ooh, like this?
Yeah, I think.
Nice. Thank you. I didn't know that actually. Great. Qua, so pretty. Yeah, so there's multiple ways to do different commands. This is one way to do it. So I did a comma and different condition. I could have also set it a different way. So let me show you how I could have done this as well. So you can use the and. So the $ in front of a condition is like a special, like, hey, telling, hey, this is a Mongo query operator. So I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna say and takes, the value has to be an array, and it means all of those conditions have to be true. Just like and was the double ampersands in coding. So and, I'll say title, Sucker Punch, director, Zack Snyder. I missed sorry, this and itself needs to be inside of a object. So that gives you the same answer. So I actually recommend using the and because it's going to make it easier, because later you have and, you'll also have, of course, you have or. So if I had done or, it shows you all movies that either are called Sucker Punch or are directed by Zack Snyder. That's many more, of course. Zack Snyder has many great films, also many terrible ones. Has anyone here seen Sucker Punch, this movie I'm talking about? No? No one's seen it? Oh my God, you guys are missing that. Here's a small clip from this film. I hope it was. I don't know if I can jerk handle this.
What the hell is it?
Also, by the way, now after Googling for things, I only get ads for like algorithm experts. Wow. So maybe where like girls are like shooting like a dragon with guns. And there's like an airplane comes and tries to fight this dragon at one point. It's amazing. If you ever want to watch an airplane fight a dragon, that's a movie for you. Okay, getting back to class now. Let's see, so what else do I want to show? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay. So that's the other, oh, sorry, so let me show you one more thing too. So let me go back to the simple one. So you can do that to find all movies with the title of Sucker Punch. There's also a different operator you might want to use. So just like there's multiple ways to do the and. So this is an equals comparison. This is telling me find all the movies where the title equals Sucker Punch. You can also do eq like this. Like that. I made a mistake there. Sorry, I got it backwards. So instead of doing title Sucker Punch directly like this, I can actually put another command here called eq, or an operator. Sorry, like that. So let me try one more time. So there might be different conditions. So right now equals is the basic one, but there's also things like greater than, less than. Greater than is spelled $TT, less than is LT. There's all these different query operators that you're going to use. And so that's always a good thing to Google, of course. I'm not going to go over all of them now, but you can Google for MongoDB query operators.
and you'll find all of them here. So there's EQ for equal, there's GT for greater than, GT, there's in, less than, not in, and then you also do the ands, ors here. So this will be a very useful document for you at some point. Okay. So there's a lot of information. Any yes, equal to default, yes. So if I just do title blah sucker punch, it just does equality there. Nice. So we also, sorry, I just saw the chats. Yeah, I get algorithm ads exclusively now. It's kind of annoying. It also makes me feel a bit smart. I'm like, oh, thanks, computer. You know that I like algorithms. And I'm glad we do have some people who have seen Sucker Punch. It doesn't hold up very well. It's like, now I realize it's a pretty sexist movie. But yeah, I also watched it when I was much younger, originally. Okay, so for today, the assignment, now jumping back, do I have any more points? Yeah, so the assignment for today is first, I want to give you guys a small quiz that you can work through yourself. So here's a link in chat. It's here. I just posted the link in chat. It's on the slides. It's also in the assignment for today. So if you click Monday and you go down to morning exercise, there's a 5-question quiz. So, oh no, Kwa, you're right. You got 4 on what?
That's so weird.
Can you try again, Kan? Wait, what?
Just refresh or type again.
Huh, am I doing something wrong with this website? I made this last night. This is actually a React app, so I may have done something wrong. Here, just try going here. I yelled at Kwa because he said it wasn't working this morning. I was like, yes, it is. Kan, you can't do quiz.clearschool.vn? Huh, what could possibly be going on? Can other people see what I'm seeing?
Say it's magic.
Yeah, so I borrowed this from another website. Just go to quiz. Wait, you guys can't see quiz.clearschool.vn? What could possibly be wrong? I wonder if it's a DNS problem. Yeah. So yes. So if you click on this, you should get this thing. So connect to ClearSchool. The first question is do this. And these are only answers. So I'll walk you through this first step. Huh. Hey, Kan, can you try this one then? CS. Can you try like this? This is the same thing. That should also work. It should also work. Maybe if it's a DNS problem, that will help. Yeah. See, this I brought this from online, by the way, so you guys can go take the quick one if you want. Get it be a good little like JavaScript refresher. Okay. J1 here. So everyone just take this. If you want to use Compass, feel free. I think you can do it in here. So this is going to be this different database, by the way. This is not about movies. This is about restaurants. So this is a database that Kwa set up just for you guys. So once you've done that, click on the right button. I'm a banana. Anyone know that I'm a banana song? I don't know why I was thinking about this last night, but oh my god, I'll go and X-Men. There you go.
Oh wow.
If you haven't watched this video, I highly recommend it. You guys probably can't hear it, but anyway. So once you're done with that, okay, next. So the first question is how many restaurants are in our database? So the way I do that here is on the DB. So by the way, I can do show collection, show DBs. Oh, I can't do that on this database. Sorry, I don't have permissions. Okay, so sorry, so ignore that. But so it's called, the database is called REST. So db.rest.find shows me a whole bunch of restaurants. And so I'll let you guys work through these examples. They're pretty easy, but you should get through all 5 of them. So I'll give you guys like a 10-minute break to get through these and also explore the database if you want. If you have questions, just shout out in Zoom. So if yeah, comments, just question, and then just asking any of the multiple ways you can ask, either in Zoom chat, over voice, over Discord. You can call me on my phone. You can do anything. All right, Kwok, can you stop the recording here?
Oh, yeah.